let's just dive right into it, okay?
You
So how did you get your idea or concept for the business? Now, I know that your dad started that, and he got this thing, he got the hardware business going a long time ago, and you kind of came in at some point and took over. Can you just kind of in a nutshell explain a little bit about how that happened?
Okay. Well, let's get clear on that first question you say. I never got to take over until Daddy passed away. Once it had fallen into my lap, I had ideas that I wanted for the store that were a little bit different from Dad's, simply because we're from two different times. I wanted to make the store even more easy to shop. I wanted to make certain areas deeper than others, because I was probably maybe on the floor a little bit more than Dad was, and actually ran the register and would ask people constantly, okay, what was it that we didn't have that you needed? And I would ask my employees all the time, take a note. If somebody asks for something and you've noticed like in 2 weeks, 3 people have asked, well, then we need to have it. And get back in touch with them and tell them we will get it for them. So when Dad passed away, we had no really like help desk in the store. And now we have 2 of them that are strategically placed in the store, so that when someone comes into the store and they have a question, we just don't tell them, hey, go to aisle 6. Say, go to the tool aisle. Larry's going to meet you there, and then he'll walk you to aisle 6 and you can find what you need.
Okay.
And that way, that gives my employees the opportunity to also sell things that go with that item, and to ask questions, what you working on, what's your project, how's it going so far? And then they, and then, because most of my guys are very experienced do-it-yourselfers. And so when someone tells them, hi, I'm trying to put up some cabinets and I'm having this problem, they'll say, oh, I did that. And let me tell you what helped me.
Okay.
And, it makes us a little more personable, more than just a big box store.
Right. Let me just kind of jump in, and I probably should have started with this, just assuming that everybody knows, but your dad was Johnnie Chuoke.
Yes, Johnnie Chuoke. Mm-hmm.
And just explain, just give a brief intro about your dad and how he started and ran Ace Hardwares, whatever, for a long time, but before you guys even got to that Northwest military location.
My grandfather started this business back in 1947. He was a home builder in San Antonio and needed a place to bring all of his supplies. So he started Acme Lumber and Supply Company, Inc. And then when my dad got out of the Navy, he came to my grandfather, and my grandfather says, why don't you come and run the store for me? And then I think he probably talked him into managing his jobs too. And so we started with one lumberyard in our original location, which was 1001 Austin Street in downtown San Antonio. Then my grandfather started, everything kind of started with my grandfather building things. So then my grandfather went out to Universal City because Randolph Air Force Base was out there. And we were getting a lot of people into the base, and they had no place to live. So he started building out there. And when he started building out there, we put another lumberyard in Universal City.
Okay.
And then once my grandfather was getting a little bit older, he died when he was 73. So about 70, he was slowing down a little bit. And that's when my father started seeing the retail. My grandfather was the builder, and my dad was a retail expert. And he just connected with people like nobody's business. They loved his soft laugh and ease to talk to, and his availability to be open to people. He never was behind a desk hiding from people, and would be out on the floor talking with them all the time. So then we grew to be 3 lumberyards, 4 lumberyards, 5 lumberyards, with our last store that was in Lockhart. Then in 2007, I was diagnosed with cancer, and we really did not know what my prognosis was going to be. I was a stage 3, and it was not a good kind of cancer to have. My dad then said, I can't run the stores without you. I was heavily involved. And so we decided maybe it's a good time to close. My mom and dad owned all the properties, so it gave them a great retirement. The property sold very quickly. And then I started going through treatment, and about a quarter of the way through 2008, we found out that my prognosis was going to be great. Well, it didn't take that long to get bored. And so he came to me, and we had sold all our properties, and he came to me and he said, what if I buy a hardware store? Would you run it for me? You can run it. This is so typical, my dad. You can run it any way you want to, sweetie. All those ideas you've had all in the past, you'll make it work, and yada, yada, yada. I fell for that. And so he bought this store that's right here on Northwest Military, and Vince Sullivan owned it then, and he really had not owned it that long. And I came in and I was talking to him about the business and stuff like that. And I said, did you have this up for sale? He goes, no. And I said, you didn't? And he goes, no. And I said, what made you decide to sell? He goes, I don't know, Trudy. Your dad came in. He said, I'd like to buy your store. And this voice came out of my mouth. I don't know who it was, and said, okay, I'll sell it to you. Well, I thought that was hilarious. And so within, he started talking with him the summer of 2008. By the end of the year, they had settled on what was going to work. And 1st of January of 2009, we were up and running the store. And the store had only $150,000 in inventory. And I can tell you, for a store that's 11,000 square feet, that's real thin. And so now the store has $360,000 in inventory, a beautiful gift shop, which is truly gift and not just decor. And then we have a paint store inside our store, which makes it so simple, because some people, they come to us, it's only for paint, and they come in. I have a lady that works here that is unbelievably talented. It's all she's ever done. And I don't want to sell her short. I mean, she can do anything in this store, but she specializes in paint. And if you are lucky enough, when you come in and she's not busy and she can wait on you, you have been blessed, because she's great.
Let me jump in, Trudy, and ask you, obviously when somebody goes into your store and they see all these things that are completely different than the big box stores, and that's really a reason why a lot of people go. Old time San Antonio people will remember a place off of Broadway and 410 called Scribner's. Which was, I think you guys, what your location has done, is the closest thing that I can remember that emulates a hardware store, but kind of a general store, and also a softer side, a female side, a decoration side, a gift shop side. So it invites that crowd, that demographic into it too. Can you talk about that? And I know that had to be, your touch on putting on that. Can you talk about that?
Sure. The reason that we have all these different things at our store is because Dad and I would go to about 4 hardware shows a year. You have to remember places like Depot and Lowe's, Walmart, they don't go to these shows. Uh, you'll find your smaller hardware stores that go to this show, and they find, we try to find different small things. Sometimes they're small, sometimes they're big, that make us stand out above everything else. So, and lots of times they're family owned businesses, which I love. If they're in Texas, even better. And that's what makes us stand out, because we don't just have Rust-Oleum on the shelf. Not that we don't, we do, but maybe they're not the best at everything. Maybe there's someone else that has a better product. Uh, for example, there is a product called Rust Cure. It's made by a man in Waco, Texas. He has made that product for probably 40 years. Well, Rust-Oleum, they have a product for that. It's not half as good as Rust Cure. Uh, it's the ease to use it. So that's what we try to find. To certain things, quick shine that's a floor finish that provides a beautiful shine with just one coat. Air sponges, BioZap, these are all things that we found at the National Hardware Show, and then going to our own Do It Best shows every year. And then I go to at least 3 gift shows a year and reach out and try to find different products to bring in, because the last thing that I want to be when they walk in is to say, oh, well, I found this at Dillard's, or I found this at whatever. It has to be different, or they have no reason to come here other than it's we're close maybe, but that's not enough for people. When they go to get a gift or they go to get a product, they want to know that they're not going to give a gift that everybody else is going to give. It's going to be different. It's going to be unique. And that's, I don't know if that's what you meant by the question, but
it is. And you guys are problem solvers, and it seems like you put time and energy into researching specific or special products that aren't available everywhere, and that's a classic example of positioning yourself as unique and different, still offering the main name one, but also something else that they may not have heard of.
right.
That they may come to the counter and go, well, I've heard of Rust-Oleum, but what's the difference, Trudy, or whoever? And so that's where there's a learning curve and an education, and that just adds value as a customer coming in and getting your professional opinion on stuff. So, what message would you like to kind of close with, and to the neighbors in Chavano Park? And there are a lot of them that know about you guys and come in, maybe not every week, but support you guys, and especially in light of what's going on now. Are y'all doing any kind of special offerings, or are people asking for any different kinds of products right now? I guess cleaners or whatever. Are y'all doing anything different in this crazy time to support your community? Or
well, to say this is a crazy time would be like the understatement of the year, right? What are we doing? Well, for one, we're open. And we're open our regular hours. We have not changed any of our hours so that we can be convenient for people. The nice part about this store is we're never crowded elbow to elbow in here. You can walk in and there might be 10 people in here at a time. So I feel like it's a safe place to shop. And then we can get you in and we can get you out real quick. We don't make anybody wait in line. If there's 2 people in line, one of us rushes up front and gets them out. If you don't feel comfortable, coming in the store, call the store, say, I'd like to have a bottle of Rust Cure. I'd like to have, I need some plumbing supplies. I need a couple of light bulbs. Can I pay for it now and you run it out? Absolutely. Absolutely. We do that.
that's great.
And and then, remember, just because you don't see it on our shelf, if we can get it through Do It Best, we can bring it in for you. There's no freight involved because it's coming directly to our store, and you can look at it, and if it's what you want, great, take it, go. And then, but if it's not, if you look at it and you go, no, that's not what I thought, that's okay too. There's no freight involved, there's no return fee, there's no anything. We just return it right back to Do It Best. And then if you say something like, I need that every month, we'll put it on the shelf for you.
That's awesome. That's great. So thank you, Hannah. I appreciate it. And I'll get it back to you.
Okay. Take it easy.
All right. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.